You mentioned the plectron. What is the plectron?
Well, back many years ago in the 70s and stuff like that, the pager systems that we have now and the 911 that you call did not exist. So the plectron was each little town had its own way of summoning its firefighters. And in Plymouth, they bought from Massachusetts, a bigger city, had these plectron system, which was, they had like a CB base radio that they put in their station with a big antenna. And all the other firefighters had these little boxes that plugged into the wall and worked on 110 and had little antennas on them. And if you went to the station, you literally had to pick up a tuning fork. And you banged it on the counter and held it in front of the speaker on the plectron. And you'd watch these lights go up. And when it got to the right decibel, or the right tone, it would fire off and send this tone out that would open up all these plectrons. And then the person could deliver the message. The big roof siren went along with that. They'd turn on the roof siren, and anybody who lived close enough to the station could hear that. So that's how we were summoned years and years and years ago. And with time, it's changed.
That's awesome. That's pretty interesting stuff there. I never heard of that before.
They're working on going to cell phone communications, where you program in the phone number into your computer at the station of the cell phone of the person who's going to be on the department. They can set it up with their own distinctive ring. And then you coming out of the station, you can either type it in, or you can actually voice it in if you have the voice prompt in your computer and have a mic, and you can relay a message and it'll interrupt all the cell phones at one time and kind of do the same thing. But it's got like a 1-minute relay. From the time you do something here and press send, it's like 1 minute before it goes out. So until they get that refined and can be instantaneously done, it's coming. Technology these days.
I believe it. Now you mentioned something about what you found interesting was that you have to think on your feet. Do you think that's something that really that drives you or motivates you? Is it something that you just think that fascinates you? I mean, as a person in general?
For me, it does. Conditions change. They're sometimes very high stress situations where you've got to take a swallow yourself and chill yourself down, just take a few minutes and think about what's going on. Absolutely, but the whole idea of it is, at the end of the day, if you can help somebody, that's a feeling that's worth all the training and all the heartburn that you focus on. When you can see a family member or something like that excited for something you saved. We just recently had a fire in Plymouth a few weeks ago, and there was a little girl. She's like 7 or 8 years old. She'd won a beauty pageant, and she just lost her 2 puppy dogs we could not save. Unfortunately, and the firefighters took it really hard. You know what I'm saying? Myself included. I'm a dog lover. I mean, it was almost as bad as having a fatal child fire. And she wanted her tiara that she had won in her beauty pageant that you put in the head. It was all diamonds and studded and all that. And we were able to go in and get that, and it was unbroke. It needed to be cleaned, but it was in good shape, and that made her proud. So that was about the best thing that we could do for the family at the time. And then I almost cried when I noticed that without any commands by myself or any prompts, that some of the firefighters from this municipality here at Retna went and actually called their family members on their cell phones and had their family members bring clothes for the kids. And that was really heartfelt to see that, geez, your members are stepping out to help a family. And then, we actually, I noticed, and some of my firefighters had taken their turnout gear off and had grabbed shovels, and was helping the husband of the family burying his 2 dogs, so he didn't have to dig the hole and do it all himself. And that's what it's all about right there, community. That's a big part of it.
Now, do you feel that most of your team feels the same way about the job? I mean, in terms of being a volunteer and being on the fire and rescue, do you feel that they have at least similar feelings about it, their passion for it?
I want to believe that, but not necessarily is that always the truth. Some people have really, believe it or not, hidden motives. Some do it just because they are adrenaline junkies and they want to be in the thick of things, but they don't really feel much as far as a person losing everything that they've owned or losing a life or something like that. I'm sure they feel bad, but probably not as bad as some of the members feel that are here. There's a good percentage of members here that really take that stuff to heart, you know what I'm saying? And some of the older guys they just want to run the hose and the sirens you know what I'm saying, be the heroes. And unfortunately, those folks are the ones that probably don't make a long, successful career in the fire service.
I'm going to ask a couple questions that are not on my list,
That's
just
right.
because as you spoke, it just provokes more thought. I've heard the term used before, trauma junkie. What is that in reference to? Do you feel that's necessarily does that refer to bad motives in terms of EMS and fire?
I don't necessarily think that is always a bad thing. I know some trauma junkies personally, and they are very good at their job, and they just want to know how far I think that their skills will let them go in the saving of a life. Is some of the things I'm kind of feeling personally. But most of them are most excellent EMTs and firefighters that do a great job, and I think that they want the extra challenge of the severity of the injury. Can I bring them back? I know that I worked on a serious call, a motorcycle accident in Newport at the intersection by the East Newport store many years ago, and this call was a serious call. This motorcycle broadsided the vehicle at 60 miles an hour, and it was so fast it embedded the guy's glasses across the vehicle into the plastic luggage rack. It embedded his glasses in there, so he stood right out, bows out. I've never seen anything like it. And we worked him hard, and he's alive today. And I didn't think he was going to be. So I can see how somebody could be into the actual wanting to be in the major, the sick, the guts and the glory. It could happen, I guess. As far as I could see myself being, a trauma junkie. I love what it's called.
So would you say? So is it safe to say that the EMS, the emergency services as a whole, would it be safe to say that once a person becomes involved in the emergency services, would it be safe to say there's a certain degree of addiction to the whole concept?
Absolutely, absolutely. You're absolutely right. I think people get really attached to that, the adrenaline that they feel from the tones going out, and again for the hustle and the bustle and the use of their skills at a scene. And people learn these skills to use them, and they like to be able to show their stuff. So lots of times people shine, and other times people don't shine in a stressful situation. They go a little dim.
All right. I think you somewhat answered this before, but if you could just kind of answer this question again. It's not. I don't think it's that difficult. What do you love most about being a volunteer firefighter and EMT?
I really do enjoy helping people. And if we can help somebody save property from their house, if we can help somebody, with saving their life, it's a feeling of a gratitude that no monetary amount could take care of. Working in your community with the people that we work with, the prestige that goes along with that is also a good feeling when you go to the local store and say, hey, there's our fire chief, and and if you can get the crew and everybody does a good job. That's just a real good feeling. I like being part of the community in a way that's special, and I like being able to have a standard of service that I feel comfortable with. This is where I live, so when fire trucks roll out of here, I want the same service for myself that everybody else is going to get, and that's why we try to do the best that we can.
Do you feel that you are good at what you do?
I could be better.
Confident?
Everybody could be better. I think if somebody feels that they've gotten to where they don't need to do anything else anymore, then they're probably ready to retire and go on that fishing trip. A lot of things play into how I work here. How respected you feel there, what's going on in the home life, what's going on in the department, in the personnel. You take 4 or 5 big arguments with the personnel, you lose that love for it for a little while, and has to come back. You know what I'm saying? So there's a lot of variations onto how I feel I've done as a chief, and I feel I can do better, and I'm not quite done with what I need to do yet.
So would you say that being a volunteer is rewarding despite some of the negative things that you have to deal with from time to time?
Absolutely.
Politically?
Absolutely. If you're run of the mill, just if you're just a firefighter, and I don't mean just a firefighter. If you're just a member and don't have to worry about all the other stuff, I'm sure you can have a lot better time at doing the job than you can be if you get into the higher position of responsibility on your shoulders. The same responsibility goes to Bangor Fire and all the other big stations. It's the same responsibility. You got to answer to other people, and there's not a lot of pay there. I figured out, I get like a $2,000 a year stipend, and when you figure that out, the amount of hours I put in, it's 25 cents an hour. So monetarily, there's no reward there. It's more in the feeling and the appreciation and the respect that comes from doing a good job. And we really try to have a good responding crew that's well trained and well versed in doing their job.
So that being said, do you feel that the respect that you receive from your local community, do you feel that it is gratifying enough to you? Do you feel that it's sufficient?
I'd like more. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
I think everybody would say they'd like more, and that's something that only time and people who are willing to work together and change that outlook is going to take place. And we've done some things on our end. The fire department's taken a bunch of leaps forward to try to mend fences and do the right thing. And now it's just time for it to be reciprocated. And I think that with that being said, that the town will support us. I think the town is supportive now, but I think the town is kind of tired of hearing the back and forthness with the community, with the fire department, the select board.
So do you feel that may have something to do with the fact that this is a small rural town?
Absolutely. I think that's exactly what they think, that the services here need to be thought of as a smaller, have a fire truck and some, their idea of a fire department is different than my idea of a fire department. And what I'm striving to do here with our membership is a little bit different than what they think that is needed. So it's kind of a win-win, learn situation for everybody. And learning and educating yourself is the biggest thing with that. But Etna does have a large amount of calls. For the little town of Etna, we do over 225 calls a year, which for a rural town of over 10,000, just a little over 10,000 acres, 1,000 people, is probably twice the norm. So, a lot of contributing factors. Age, roadways, the location of where we're at.